Radio.
Welcome to Morris Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Amana El Bay. And tonight, accusations, antisemitism, disunity, genocide, and Western values. We also want to touch on the folks that be dealing with the veterans, the Veteran Administration. We want to touch on that. Our special guest tonight will be Miss Nicola Hurst, author of the book Recovery from 2020. She'll be in here with us this evening as well. But as usual, before we get started, we're going to go to the commercials. And when I get back, I want to deliver some information from a book that I've been rereading here. I'm rereading the ISIS papers by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And of course, on a couple of previous broadcasts, we heard from Mr. Bolson, and who is a gentleman that does not live in the United States, and describing for us what's not being broadcast to us in the media, on television, on the news media. The journalists are not coming out and say, hey, this is what y'all need to know and what's going on. We're not getting that. So here on this broadcast, we are putting your socks on, so to speak, with this 411. Okay? But we're going to go down in Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's book. I have a couple of passages I want to pay close attention to when we get to that. But right now, let's go to our commercial. We be right back. Hold on. Today in September 2023, the United States is bringing up the student loan thing again, just like I said they would in 2022. And a lot of people took no action back then. They advertised they would give you a loan to go to school, but you don't receive a check. But anyway, you go for it. The next thing you know, you get a bill in the mail for a loan they said they gave you. And guess what? It has interest attached to it. And as time goes on, it gets bigger and bigger because it was never meant to be paid off. It was designed for you to pay for the rest of your natural life. Get my free report. Go to TarhakaDebtElimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtElimination.org.
Become a creditor instead of a debtor. Get into private. Get out of the public. Peace.
Okay. Now, I'm waiting on my guests to arrive. When they come in and press 1 on the phone, that'll give me an indication that they're here, and we're ready to go. But in the meantime, I want to, right here in the forward of Dr. Francis Cress Welson's book, right here in the introduction, I want to go over something right quick, and then we'll be going on down into the broadcast. It says here, the ISIS papers, the keys to the color, to the colors, is a collection of essays I have written over the past 18 years following the presentation and publication of my first work, The Cress Theory of Color Confrontation and Racism, White Supremacy. That first paper was theoretical statement, a psychogenetic theory and world outlook on the origin and meaning of the global white supremacy system. The theory summarizes and classifies our experience as black, non-white, people on a planet presently dominated by people who classify themselves as white and who are a minority of the world's people. The Cress theory was based upon the insightful work of Neely Fuller Jr., author of the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism and white supremacy. Fuller, the founder of the racism counter-racist concept, was the very first victim of racism to understand it as a global system of organized behavior, thought, speech, and action for the white supremacy domination in all areas of people activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. In other words, he recognized that all activity and behavior is encompassed by the white supremacy system, had and has its origin in the dynamic of racism. Additionally, Fuller understood that racism contained the seeds and origins of counter-racism, the behavior dynamic of liberation for the non-white victims of white supremacy. His work led me to question the necessity of the global white collective to evolve such a system of unjust behavior. Okay, I just wanted to go over that with you. I have another point, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. It appears that my guest is in the queue. I'm going to go on and I'll open up the line. Sister Nicola M. Hurst, are you with me?
I'm with you. Thank you so much for inviting me on, Tarhaka.
You are quite welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're able to actually do this broadcast. We've been having some technical difficulties here. But nevertheless, we want to tell the audience about you and about your book and exactly what is it that you want to get down into that we need to be aware of.
Well, Tarhaka, I think you opened up perfectly with the Cress papers because Dr. Francis Cress Welsing opened up something that we needed to see, and everything that I have to say tonight will completely tie back into your opening statement. So my name is Nicola Hurst. I'm a 12-year veteran of the United States Air Force, among many, many, many other things. I've had many lifetimes within this particular lifetime. I've also been a professor of psychology at Liuqing University in China. I have worked with children my whole life as a youth minister. I've done everything you could think of, basically, with children, from everything from ministry to working in a juvenile detention center. So my credentials are all over the place. But lately, what I have been doing, since I've been sitting down and resting a bit from the worldly stuff that I've been doing, is I have been teaching online a little bit some of the things that I have learned. My degree is in recovery counseling from Fuller Theological Seminary, And so I started a channel called Courage to Change online about 7 years ago, just talking to people about how to manage their emotions and the things that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis that they sometimes don't have the tools to deal with using the 12-step model. So that was one of the channels that I started 7 years ago. I haven't done a whole lot recently on that particular channel, but all the work is still up. Please go to that channel on YouTube, subscribe, and partake of everything that is there. Out of that channel, birthed Life Alchemy Life Coaching, which I have been coaching people through their inner child pain and all of their stuck places in life, and helping them to get to the bottom of where they hurt so that they can actually move past that space and find the answers within themselves, because all of us truly know the answers within us. We just sometimes need a little help and guidance moving some of the stuff out of the way that has, piled up on us so that we can get to our truest self. That life coaching has also been put on hold while I've been doing my own personal inner work, but all of the information that you need is still on the website at www.nhalchemy.com, nhalchemy.com. And lastly, recently, because I have been going through a very deep personal spiritual evolution and revolution, which will bring me back to the Crest papers with Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, I started a new channel called Alchemical Empress, Alchemical Empress on YouTube. And that is for the awakened. That's for the people that can handle the deeper stuff of the spiritual and esoterical level that I have to talk about. I've been opening up a lot of stuff concerning the reemergence of the mother spirit that's in this turning point that we're going through on the planet. And for those who have the ears to hear, please go to Alchemical Empress on YouTube. And so tonight I'm going to talk about some of the things that I have experienced and witnessed in my time in the military and as a veteran, to kind of give the public some awakening about what's happening in your medical system. Is that a good enough opening, Tarhaka?
That's fantastic. I'm going to go to your site, because we're going to convert this and put it up on YouTube, and I'll go ahead and get your credentials, and I will be adding it in with your links and stuff right there on YouTube. And of course,
okay.
Once we do that, they'll have access to that. I don't have it installed here in this broadcast, because this is just a part of going into the video mode and uploading on YouTube, so we'll have it credentials there. But you can proceed. Let us know what's going on here.
Okay, so we did a show together a while ago, my brother, about the information that I found out about why I had been sick for so long. So just to recap that show and to inform the audience who may not have heard that show, basically on May 17th, 2022, my entire world changed. So to give you an understanding of what I mean by saying that, I was dealing with some medical issues here, there, and everywhere, and I could not put two and two together, but I knew that something was related to the shots that I had taken in the military. I also knew that they had done some things to my hormones to make me gain a lot of weight. And of course, people didn't believe me back then. This is back in 1990, 91 time frame. So folks wasn't suspecting the things that we've gotten to see since 2020, right? You know, we kind of trusted our government to some degree back then. We kind of trusted certain things were on the up and up back then. And I am serving in the military because I was the oldest child trying to take care of some younger sibling of mine. To recap on some of the reasons why you said, why would somebody sign up for this? Well, you know, when you're in a ghetto and you're looking for a way out, sometimes you don't know a better way out, and you see some of the bad stuff that's happening, and then you try to figure out, okay, let me find another way. And they are strategically, recruitment centers are strategically placed in impoverished black and brown neighborhoods. Very strategic the way this is done. And so many of us that felt like we couldn't find a way out joined up. And so I supposedly went into the military during peacetime, right? And supposedly, I didn't have to deal with the stuff that the Vietnam veterans had dealt with because they knew that they were going to war. I was going to get some extra help to go to school and basically just get a little help to help take care of my siblings back then, and did not know what I was getting myself into when I signed those papers and basically signed myself over to the military. You kind of know that you're going to sign yourself up for some stuff, like if you were to go to war or if you would have been called, you kind of gear your mind up for that, but you never gear your mind up to think that the people that you put the uniform on for are the ones that's trying to kill you. And that's what was happening to me and my comrades. And so this is talking about 30-some years ago now. Roughly about 250,000 troops that served during the 1990-91 Persian Gulf War was affected by something called sarin nerve gas. We did not know why we were getting sick. We would, you might go to the doctor and say you have some digestive issues, or you might go and it's like, I don't know why I'm feeling like foggy and fatigued, or you didn't put two and two together and you know what was going on. And another thing that was happening is I was losing a lot of friends of mine that were very young. All of a sudden they were getting sick from things like cancer and dying really young, and we were wondering if it was like something on the base. I was stationed right here in the U.S. for a long time at Barksdale Air Force Base. I was wondering if there's something that, was out there that was causing people to get sick. We didn't understand what was going on back then. All I know is, go ahead, Tarhaka, you was about to say something?
No, I'm listening.
Okay. So all I knew was something was happening where we were having these medical issues, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, have a friend with Graves' disease, all kinds of things was popping up on us. And you're talking about young, viable, strong bodies back then. I was a hard body back then. That's hard to probably believe today if you see me. But back then, I ran every day. I was lifting weights every day. I mean, it's like, what the heck is happening? So I wake up May 17, 2022. I open my email, and my whole world changed. There is an article on military.com, and the article says, researchers think they found the cause of Gulf War illness. And I'm like, oh, my God. Wait a minute, there is something that, because, you just had all of these mysterious illnesses. You didn't know what was going on. So come to find out, the military put something called sarin nerve gas in our anthrax vaccines, among a bunch of other stuff that they put in our vaccine. And then over time, we were dealing with things like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, gastrointestinal issues, brain fog, neuropathy, muscle aches, joint pains, heart palpitations, headaches, tinnitus, all kinds of stuff we was dealing with. We didn't know what we was dealing with. And like I said, some of the bigger issues, MS, Graves' disease, cancer, we had all kinds of things we were dealing with, plus a lot of the people that were near and dear to us had passed away mysteriously. So come to find out, they had been doing gene experiments on us. So we just your experimental monkeys going on over here. It's something that's called a PON1 gene that they had figured out how to isolate. And those of us who had a stronger PON1 gene in our body, the sarin nerve gas basically processed out of the body, and they said, okay, well, nothing's wrong with me. So you'll hear veterans, because we all have different stories, so you can't narrow down one veteran and think you have the whole entire veteran story. But this was my particular experience from what the era I was in and the space that I was in. So if you got sick, it means that the vaccine, sarin, was able to bypass the blood-brain barrier, and it goes into your system and was causing inflammation of the brain. And this was causing a ton of neurological issues in many of us. And we didn't know. We were just getting sick from all types of different things, right?
Right.
And so I wake up to this information, and I basically, I'm like thrown for a loop. I'm angry. I'm going through all types of emotional stuff. It is one thing if you go to war and you just get shot or something happen like that, you know, that people want to hear your war stories and shit. You know, our country is like thrives on that kind of stuff. But if you tell them some nefarious stuff happened that your own government did to you, nobody want to hear that. And I would try to tell the doctors at the VA and stuff like what happened to me, and they would just give me a cold look like, I don't know what you're saying, like, you know, you're way over, that deer in the headlight look like you're way over my head, sister, and maybe you're a little bit off. And that's what they did to a lot of us, by the way, is back then when we were going to the doctor and saying, you know, these things are, you know, happening and I have this pain, this chronic pain, they would tell us that the pain was all in our head, and then they would refer us to a psychologist, a psychiatrist. So and I thought I was the only one that was going through this. I come to find out all of us, all the doctors were on code to tell us that if we went in there with a mysterious illness and pains, that the pain was all in our heads, and that maybe you should go and check out the psychiatrist and see if we can get you on some depression meds or stuff. And a lot of us didn't know, you know, what was going on. We trusted the doctors. A lot of people trying to figure out, well, I don't know, that don't seem right. But, you know, a lot of people just kind of went on with the pain or struggled or whatever they were doing to try to get through. But when you're in chronic pain, you know, you're not thinking straight anyway. So you're trying to get whatever help you can get, right? So
that's right.
So now I'm like, wow, you know, I'm grappling with all of that information already, and I'm trying to process that. And recently I moved from Texas to Georgia and had to get a new primary care physician. And come to find out, the lady just doing her job, the nurse is just doing her job, and she's like, oh, wow, I didn't know you had this kind of slurry. We've never seen this slurry of vaccines together. I'm like, what are you talking about? You know, because they ask you every time you go in, do you want a flu shot? I've never taken any of these shots. But there was a time before I decided not to do this anymore. There was a time because I had, you know, chronic knee pain that I was taking the steroids to my knees. Well, come to find out, and I'm just not finding this out, that they were mixing various vaccines in my pain medication and shooting it in my body.
Wow.
Now, I'm wondering why this stuff is not working like it should. I stopped taking this stuff after I had a heart attack, the day that I had one put in me in 2015. So I stopped taking it, but I'm just not finding out this is what was happening, you know, some years ago. And I'm a civilian now. So this is not the military. I am no longer in service. I have not been in service since 2001. I am free from active duty. I'm free from reserve duty. I'm just a regular civilian going for my regular doctor's appointment. And this is what they did to me. And that's the reason why I'm talking to your audience today, Tarhaka, because if they can do this to us, they can do this to anybody. If you go to a doctor at this point, you're going to a licensed professional killer at this point in many, many ways. And you don't even know it because they have been given trusted positions over people's lives. And people go there in pain or they're dealing with some level of distress, not knowing that they may be putting their hands in somebody's, putting their life in somebody's hands that is not looking out for their best interest at all, but what the establishment has to do for whatever the powers that be that they are working for on a much grander and larger scale. Now, I say all of this also is because we were your experimental monkeys for what they rolled out in 2020. What they did to us is what we call a slow kill. Some of my friends dropped right away. But what they did is they put enough sarin nerve gas in us for us to not have real symptoms until 10 years later. 10 years later. So it wasn't until 10 years later that I could not get out of the bed. I was in such chronic pain, I had to work myself from the bed to a walker to a cane. 10 years later. And they've done the same thing to civilians now. They basically bioweapons, use the bioweapons to chemically destroy a lot of civilian people, wiped out a lot of people. Some have already gone because of what they felt like they had to take back in 2020. But then there's some of y'all that you're going to see drop slowly. Slow medical issues. Issues that you think that's going, you know, you're not even probably, like we were, not even putting two and two together. Why am I dealing with this? Why am I dealing with that? Well, you know, I was having a little problem with this little ache here, a little that, you know. Some people have big things happening already, like brain aneurysms, heart attacks already, strokes that's happening to people. But some of y'all are going to probably see the effects of what they put in you in 2020, maybe 10 years down the road. And then who knows what the fallout is going to be for the next generation of people that can't have children no more and all the rest of this stuff. And so I just felt like I needed to bring this to the public for you all to understand that you have to truly be on your guard and be your own doctor right now and be your own best advocate for whatever is going on within you, and take deep levels of personal responsibility for your own health. If it's not a stroke or a heart attack, I would say find every means possible to find natural, holistic ways of healing yourself. Because if you do not take these natural ways of trying to take care of yourself, you may be putting yourself in the hands of a licensed, and sometimes, and just to be fair, a very ignorant killer. Because some of them are just simply doing their jobs, and they don't know how deep the rabbit hole really, really goes. How much deeper can I go, Tarhaka?
Okay, well you deep now, but I tell you what. Now I got your book right here in my hand, and I really appreciate you delivering the information that you did. Because right here in chapter 1, you're stating, and this is in your book, Recovering from 2020. I have a copy of it here in my hand. It said, admitting powerlessness does not mean admitting hopelessness. We are not helpless, but we can say that events of this year, maybe even before 2020, caused some things in our lives to spin out of control. It is only when we can come to a point of bottom that we can begin to surrender into a space of release and accept help. This year is sending a massive amount of people into a major awakening about things they once believed about the world around them and the things, people, spaces, and places they once trusted on a very foundational level. To have your entire foundation crack as you once knew it can be very disconcerting. It can lead to confusion, anger, physical pain, emotional upheaval, and feeling as though you are losing your mind. I try to imagine what you are saying about what is happening, but I do remember them stating that they are trying to reduce the Earth's population. And this is something that I remember even before I got in high school. I looked at all of the brothers from the hood where we grew up at. They were all going into Vietnam. And some of the biggest and most powerful brothers that I knew right there in the hood, when they got in Vietnam, they never came back. Then later on in life, I found out that the Vietnam War was never meant to be won. It was only meant to be sustained. While they exterminate massive amounts of people, both the enemy and the Americans.
Absolutely.
And I found out what they were doing was they were giving the enemy advanced information. This is what the United States was doing about the whereabouts, where we're going to be over here, what's going to happen here, and that and there, giving it to the enemy. And our people here in the United States was down left and right because they was reducing the population, and they are still up to the same thing. And the people who are doing this are people who don't look like me and you. It's amazing because, see, in their mind, well, nobody's going to volunteer to die, so we're going to mass incarcerate people. We're going to have slave labor going on, and all those that we don't incarcerate, we'll try to kill one way or another. And so I know what you're telling me is absolutely correct, and especially the part about the vaccines and stuff. You know, they came out with that. I said there's no way because I'm fully aware of what the United States is, and I'm not going to ignore what they have done in the past. And if they've done it in the past, they'll do it again. So you have anything else you want to add?
Well, I got a lot more to add. I just want to say, how deep you want me to go? So I wanted to give you a personal account of someone who has actually physically suffered through this, because so many times people think certain things are just conspiracy theories. And I think we are living in a day and time now where the conspiracy is wide open. There is no more conspiracy. It just is. It's wide open in your face. If you want to see it, you want to know it, you want to research it, it's right there in your face. I got the Kissinger paper sitting right here in my bookcase. I'm also looking at, I pulled this book out because long before I was aware of it, a man named Eustace Clarence Mullins, his birth was from 1923 to 2010, so he died in 2010 before any of this was ever rolled out. He wrote this book called Murder by Injection in 1988.
Okay.
In this book, he laid out the medical monopoly, how the Rockefellers and all of them monopolized the medical system because they basically the ones who are like the Queen and all of them, they don't deal with those that they have pulled together to go to med school and all of that stuff. They still deal with naturopath and holistic medicines. They don't deal with the medical society the way regular people do. So he talks about how that came about. He talks about how they call people who are doing real healing quacks and how they discredited these people that was actually doing the right thing to heal people. People like your Dr. Sebi, you know, they have to get rid of people like that to even roll out what they rolled out in 2020. He talks about in this book the profits of cancer, how much money you can make off of cancer. He talks about the whole vaccination scheme. This was written in 1988. The whole vaccination scheme and how that was going to roll out. Fluoride and how the dentists begin to use fluoride in your mouth to kill off your pineal gland and dumb you down and make you stupid so you don't remember who you are. He talks about AIDS, the AIDS epidemic, and how they was going to play that and roll that out. He talks about fertilizers and how they was going to contaminate your food through fertilizers. He also talked about the contamination of the food chain and how they was going to basically put you in a position where everything that you had to rely on or consume was going to be poison. And then, so if you ever get a chance to read Eustace Mullins' Murder by Injection, it'll lay out everything that's happening right now. And the other thing that if you might want to read is called Rockefeller Medicine Man. Rockefeller Medicine Men. They basically let you know what they are doing and what they have rolled out on us and how they're trying to kill off a certain part of the population, dumb down the rest of the population, and basically create a bunch of robots they can control and use at their will. Now, to go a little bit deeper and to go into your opening statement about Frances Cress Welsing and another part of my awakening process is I'm a highly spiritual person. For those of you who don't know, another part of my life was for 40 years of my life before I've gone through this spiritual awakening, I was a licensed and ordained minister. And I preached the gospel of Jesus Christ for 40 years of my life. But I was never really, I wasn't a pulpiteer. I was mainly on the streets working with kids, wayward kids, foster children, all of that stuff, the homeless population. That was where my work really lied. You didn't see me online talking. You saw me on the ground working. That's where I was. That's what I did for years and years and years. And so I went through this awakening, and then I began to feel a spiritual pull to go down to Costa Rica and go through an ayahuasca ceremony. And I went through a level of awakening of who I was from antiquity, which was an Egyptian queen at some point. And then I began to learn about the fact that I was what we would call an ancient Sibyl. An ancient Sibyl. And for those of you who don't know what a Sibyl is, we were the very first prophetess on the planet. We were the people that actually called harmony around the entire planet between humanity and the animals and the atmosphere. Now, these prophetess, I'm going a little bit deep for your audience, but I hope they can hang with me here. These prophetess were so important around the world at one point, and their prophecies and their writings and everything was so important. They ran the world by a sacerdotal seat, not political as we know it today. But the Vatican basically stole their seat, and the Catholic Church stole their work, and they created out of their writings what a lot of people know today as their Holy Bible. A lot of what is hidden down in that Vatican is a lot of these ancient black women's work. And the blood right of the sacerdotal seat that belonged to these women is a lot of the stuff that has been hidden, the hidden hand behind a lot of different things that they call secret societies and things of that sort. And so people know the bloodlines of these royal ancient women, and they've been trying to snuff them out in every way possible. Most people have never heard of them before because it's been a conspiracy all throughout these thousands of years to silence their voices and to make them as invisible as possible. But they are rising again. They're speaking out again, and the ancient mother of the planet is making her way known again. And so the bloodline is important because every single solitary thing that we have come back and recreated over and over again lies in the DNA. Our DNA is the Akashic records of all of our past lives and lifetimes and all that we are. And these entities know this, and they know the importance of our DNA. So what did they do in 2020? They tried to destroy your DNA. They gave you something was what, mRNA or something like that, to try to rewrite your DNA, to try to scramble your DNA so that you could not remember who you are, so that you could not awaken. They try to pull down your pineal gland so that you could not remember, so that you could not awaken, because they knew that this time and this dispensation is now. This is the time of the awakening. This is the era of the Aquarius. We're not in the space no more of the Piscean era where we believed. We are now in the space of the knowing. We're also in the space of the apocalypse, where the unveiling is generally happening every day. You're seeing something open up and something open up and seeing things that you've never seen before, because this is the time and dispensation of the apocalypse. And the great mother is arising again. They try to suppress her all these thousands of years. But you can't do that to the spirit realm and think you can get away with that. Karma is very real. And so somebody like me that's highly spiritually awakened know that I came back for such a time as this. I came back to see my just due as a Sibyl. And so this bloodline that they keep trying to snuff out of the black woman and the black man, that is what they're after. that brings us back to those crest papers and why that melanin is so important and why that DNA is so important. And so I just wanted to tie that in a little bit. I hope I didn't go too far, Tarhaka, for your audience, but that was my tie-in to my channel for those who are ready for the Alchemical Empress page, and why they have done all this work to try to snuff us out as best that they could.
Okay. Well, let's hear from Frances. I just happen to have a plug on here from Frances Cress Wilson with an interview that she did with Tony Brown. This journal, Tony Brown's journal. And when we come back, then we'll go back down in there. So hold on, and I'm going to run this here right quick, and then we can go on down and you can give us some more. But I want you to tell us about this Veterans Administration thing that's been going on, too.
Okay. All right.
Hold on.
This edition of Black Journal is dedicated to the Miami Times, a member of the Crusading Black Press, serving Miami, Florida, the 17th largest black community in the United States. Our theme on this series is Black Centennial, but we really don't mean 100 years of living. What we have in mind is the black presence, yesterday and today. And although our theme is historical and contemporary, this edition will emphasize the present-day issues of Afro-Americans. This special edition will feature two contemporary spokespersons, Dr. Frances Welsing, a well-known psychiatrist whose psychiatric theories and views on a number of topical issues have had a significant impact on Afro-Americans. She is the author of The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation. And Melvin Van Peebles, director and producer of various stage plays and movies. He is the author of a newly published book entitled The True American. Our first guest is Dr. Frances Welsing. Joining me in the questioning is Richard Prince from the Washington Post. Mr. Prince has the first question.
Yes, Dr. Welsing, it's been about a year ago since you were dismissed from Howard University, and at the time I recall you charged that your Crest theory, which in brief holds that whites are inferior to blacks because of the lack of melanin, was responsible for that dismissal. And I'm wondering whether you still believe that and what proof you have of that.
Well, Dick, I do believe it. I was dismissed from Howard, fired from Howard in June 1975. In November 1974, while still at Howard, I heard a rumor that I was going to be blocked from promotion and tenure because of my views, not because of my academic work. And I went immediately to the Dean of the College of Medicine, Dr. Marion Mann, and I asked him, I said, Dr. Mann, I hear that I am going to be blocked from promotion and tenure because of my views. And Dr. Mann responded, to be frank with you, Dr. Welsing, this paper that you wrote, and I said, The Crest Theory of Color Confrontation, he said yes. He went on to say that it did not make sense for me to say that white people were envious of black people because white people lack skin pigmentation. And we went on from that point. But let me make one correction. My theory does not say that whites are inferior to blacks. I don't say that. I say that whites feel that they are inferior because they cannot produce skin pigmentation and because their status as, I say, a variant of albinism is genetic recessive to blacks, and they can be genetically annihilated by non-white people, that this is what causes that sense of inadequacy, that they have built a total behavioral system that is a compensation. White supremacy is a compensation for a sense of white genetic inadequacy.
I see. One other follow-up on that, and that is what background in genetics do you have to enable you to document that theory?
Well, I'm a medical doctor, and all medical doctors receive or take courses in genetics, and this is very, very basic genetics, and it not only is very basic genetics, this is common lay knowledge, and we hear it, the dominance, the genetic dominance of black over white is heard in the expression, one drop of black blood makes you black. In other words, if you were to relate to a white female, the product of that relationship would be an individual that is identifiable as what is called non-white. They would have something. I mean, the curliness of the hair, the darkness of the skin would make the child look more like you than like the mother.
I see. Dr. Welsing, your theory to me seems to infer some innate behavior on the part of a human being because they are, quote, black or white. Would you agree or disagree that the terms black and white are not genetic definitions? And if they are not genetic definitions, then how could your theory be true?
Well, wait a minute. When you say genetic definitions, I'm not quite sure what you say, but for the sake of time, the factors that determine whether we're going to have skin pigmentation or whether we lack skin pigmentation is based on genes. In other words, you have genes that determine the quantity of melanin pigment that is going to be produced in your skin, in your eyes, in your hair. If you have a gene, a mutation towards an inability to produce that pigment, that is also genetically determined. And that is at least within the context of the Western world or the white supremacy culture. The dominant classification of people, not as determined by Francis Welsing, but as determined by white people themselves, is your classification. Either you are white or you are classified as non-white. This is on your birth certificate. This is on every paper of identification that you have. And this focus on skin coloration, I maintain, is based on the awareness on the people who are now in power that they are a minority. The white group represents a minority in the world population. And the color focus is something that is a psychological, I say a psychological necessity based on a genetic reality. So I don't know if this gets to your question. Now, any other thing that one might say that results from the absence of pigment, I mean, that's another discussion. I don't know whether you want to go into that.
Well, following that logic, then, would it not be accurate to say that there would be a difference psychologically in light-skinned blacks from dark-skinned blacks?
Well, psychologically, yes, and I think that we are all aware of that. Under white supremacy, the conditioning has been the closer you are to white, the more acceptable you are. So that, for example, all of us learned as we were growing up in the black community, if you are black, stay back. If you are brown, stick around. If you are yellow, you're mellow, and if you're white, you're right. And the appreciation of an individual, even within the black group itself, was very often based on the relative absence of skin pigmentation. And even within families, children thought that they were ugly if they were darker. And families, parents have said that to children. Even now, people want to know when a baby is just born in the hospital, some of the first questions that are asked by the black parents about the child or the black family members, is it light skin and does it have straight hair? To know how much value we're going to put on this new baby. Because within the framework of the culture in which we live, the closer you are to white, the more you're considered beautiful, and perhaps under some circumstances, the more opportunities you will have.
Well, Dr. Welsing, if it is true that you were dismissed from Howard because of your views on that subject, what would you say then of the implications for academic freedom at Howard University?
Well, I say that, first of all, Howard University is a black university in name only. In other words, those who fund an institution within the framework of a political system, those who fund an institution determine what is going to be done within the framework of that institution. And so although Howard University is referred to as a black university and the majority of the student body is black and the majority of the faculty is black, still it is possible, I say it is possible, that those people who control the purse strings can say, we do not like such and such an ideology or philosophy that is coming out of this center. If this continues to come out, then we will not give you funds for building and we will not give you funds to continue the functioning of your center. Now you make your choice.
Well, are you saying that this happened in your case, or was it simply the case of one dean saying this to you? I mean,
well, let's put it this way. I can only suspect that it happened if you ask me to prove it, because I will say that the same funding forces or sources, if they said, well, we like very much what Dr. Welsing is doing, first of all, no one has been able to disprove what she's saying. That we think this is very interesting. I mean, whether the theory is correct or incorrect, it's a valuable idea to discuss, or it is being discussed a lot. We're glad to have that debate going on in an academic institution. We think that that individual ought to stay there. Then that individual would be there.
What about the Board of Trustees and the President of the University? What have they said about What happened to you?
Well, the Board of Trustees and the President of the university concurred in the decision to dismiss me, despite the fact that the chairman of my department and the executive committee of my department recommended that I be promoted and given tenure. Also, the Committee on Appointments and Promotions within the College of Medicine also recommended that I be promoted and given tenure.
So what do you do now then? What is your next step?
Well, right now we have been involved in several grievance committee hearings, and I have a lawyer, and the university has a lawyer, so I don't know what the outcome of it is going to be. But my charge is that I was removed from the university as a breach of my academic freedom because the discussion centered around the paper that I wrote, and that someone disagreed, namely the dean. I mean, he's the one who made the statement to me that he disagreed with the content of the theory. Although I told him I had many documents, I have many, many letters from white people in this area of the world and in foreign countries who have written to me and said, yes, I have always wished that I had more melanin. And I said that to the dean. I don't ask black people what white people think about themselves. I ask white people, or they will tell me what they think about themselves. And anybody who watches the phenomena of sun tanning, millions and millions and millions and millions of white people, the minute the sun is out, lying in the sun, taking the chance of getting skin cancer to get dark, cannot tell me that white people are satisfied with the way that they look.
Dr. Welsing, you've charged, in a sense, that the climate of academic freedom at Howard University is threatened. The Washington Post has said in an editorial that the leadership of Howard University was wavering. Therefore, it was not stable, and Howard really didn't have a definite sense of mission. Now, do you feel, in the context of those two statements, that the era of academic freedom or the climate of academic freedom at Howard includes whites who teach there, or do you feel it's basically relegated to the blacks who have theories, quote, that might be controversial or unacceptable?
Well, Tony, I don't want to get off into comparing whether it applies to whites or whether it applies to blacks, you know, whether whites can say what they want at Howard and whether blacks cannot. I will simply say, and I honestly do not fault the leadership at Howard University within a certain sense. In other words, we are an oppressed people in a power system that I maintain supports white domination. If you are going to work and function within that context, you have to go by the rules that have been set up. Now, this may not have anything to do with truth. It may not have anything to do with justice. It may not have anything to do with reality. But I say that the pressure is there on the leadership in so-called black institutions, we might even say as far as television programs are concerned. If you are going to say the wrong thing that makes the people who control the purse strings unhappy, then chances are that you are not going to have that opportunity very long. If what you are saying is conceived of as a threat to the status quo, or if what is being taught or what is being propagated in some way will change the minds of the listeners so that people begin to behave in a different way because they begin to think of things in a different perspective or from a different angle.
Well, my question in asking for comparison of academic freedom vis-a-vis black professors or white professor referred specifically to a case of a white professor from South Africa named Rubin, who has been dismissed, qualifiedly dismissed or whatever it is from the university, and basically because the students did not believe he had the right to say what he wanted to say at the university, which parallels, if I'm following you correctly, the fact that you are alleging that you have been fired, in fact, because you had the temerity to say, theoretically, what you said.
Well, let me just go, I look at that particular case as the case of Dr. Rubin, who the students had charged that he was negligent in his duties towards the student body. Now, all these charges have been washed away, but this was essentially, as I understand it, what happened. They alleged that he had done a couple of things that some people had said were racist, and also that he had been negligent in his responsibilities. Well, when that happened, all of the newspapers that are white-owned and supported went to his defense. How dare Howard University remove this individual who was an anti-apartheid, meaning an anti-white supremacy, anti-racist, took an anti-racist position in South Africa, that this man has, in quotes, demonstrated his interest in black people and non-white people. Now, I just look at that case in this way. Here is an individual that, as far as the media in the District of Columbia is concerned, they defended this man because he had taken an anti-racist, anti-apartheid position in South Africa. But there's Francis Welsing, who has written a paper and a theory on white supremacy, has to be dismissed from the same institution because I consider myself a counter-racist, a person who is moving against an unjust and negative force of white supremacy. But I have to be dismissed because I wrote a theory that was against white supremacy. But an individual who is classified as white, who took a position so-called an anti-white supremacy position in South Africa, he is defended as being someone who should be at a black institution. Defended at least by the media. You see what I'm saying? Because one of the papers in Washington, the Evening Star, in an editorial said, well, apparently Howard University has a small group of racists, meaning black people who are supposed to be against white people, you know, faculty and students who are anti-white, and now it's time to weed out all of the other black people who have an anti-white position. Now, this is said in a city in which there are two major white universities who have very, very small black student bodies and very, very small percentages of blacks on their faculty. But there's no examination or no gross criticism of the white dominance and presence at the two white institutions, but let's weed out if there are other black people who in any way can be looked at as being against whites, well, then attack that black center. And it's a lot of chaos and confusion, but I think that if it is understood the dominant dynamic in this area of the world, the dominant dynamic that is going on throughout the world is white domination. I don't think that anyone can refute that. The persons who have the power in the world today, all of it is in the hands of people who themselves classify themselves as white as opposed to non-white. That is where the power is. If we understand that, we can understand everything else.
We have time for one short question and one short response.
Oh, I see. Well, this was going to be longer, but anyhow, you said that the operating dynamic is racism, in essence.
White supremacy.
White supremacy.
Yes.
Do you make any allowances for economic domination or any class differences?
Okay, very, very quickly. The system of white supremacy is a dynamic that encompasses all areas of people activity. That means economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. You have a behavioral system that is in all of those areas of activity seeking to establish white supremacy. I say that the class positions in that society are white upper class, white middle class, white lower class, and then non-white, non-class, irrespective of income. Income is not power.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry to have to interrupt, but we'll have to thank you so much, Dr. Welsing, for being on Black Journal.
Okay, everybody, we back. Our special guest is Nicola M. Hurst, author of Recovering from 2020. We want to get back over here and get back in. Sister, are you still with us?
I'm still here.
Okay. You want to give us some more of this information that you have? Because what you're telling us is riveting, and I want to hear it all.
I thought, listening to the excerpt that you just played of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, that it is always interesting to me that the people who have the most weighty information are not really credible to people until they've passed on. Then all of a sudden we want to hear what they got to say. Or then, you know, the fact that Howard University would push this woman out, as powerful of a researcher, a doctor, all of this stuff that she is, that they would push her out because they didn't like what she had to say at that time, which, you know, pretty much was happening to me back in the early 90s. The stuff that I was trying to say to people back then about what I'm experiencing today was unheard of. People thought I was crazy. When I said, I feel like they put something in me that just feels wrong when they gave me the flu shot. Something don't feel right. I feel like they did something to my body. Oh, Nicola, you're such a conspiracy theorist. Oh, you're always saying something. You're always thinking something. I said, no, something's not right. But nobody believed me, even the people that I was serving along with, until they got sick, until they started seeing people dropping like flies around them, and then they started speculating. And still, people were questioning me the entire step of the way. And I came all the way into this point with all of the things that I experienced, all of the knowledge that I tried to talk about with my military experience, trying to convince my family members not to take that shot. And you know what? They didn't listen to me either. You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, Jesus went into his own, and his own received him not. Sometimes the answers are so close and in your face that, people can't receive it from the people that looks like us. And so I've been talking about something is not right, and I didn't put my finger on it until 2022 when I saw this article, and then all of the pieces of the puzzle started to come together for me. But I was seeing a little things along the way. I'm like, something's not right. Something is not right. And so I would talk to doctors, and they would not believe me. I would talk to the people around me. They wouldn't believe me. I would talk to people that was in service with me. They wouldn't believe me. It was not right. And then I was like, something about this stuff that they've done to us, I feel like they've been experimenting on us. Well, I was right the whole time. It took them 30 years to see that I was right about this stuff. But when 2020 rolled out, everybody got experimented on in one way, shape, form, or fashion, even if you just had to stay home. They have been using those of us who have signed up to serve and protect this country as your guinea pigs. We are your experimental monkeys. We are a captive audience, so to speak. Whatever experiments they wanted to run on the mass public, they tried it out on us first. Let's see, if we give them this much of a dosage, it might kill them off too fast. We don't want everybody to drop at one time. So we're going to portion this out over a little bit at a time so that maybe the kill switch won't turn on until about 5, 7, 10 years down the road, and it won't look suspecting. It won't look like it's tied into what we've done to them. They did this on us already. So now you're seeing this happen with the public. Biotoxins in our bodies that I'm still trying to pull out of my system right now. They basically used a lot of black women as their targets. A lot of black people, period, but a lot of black women as their targets. We just became bodies for them to use, to experiment, to study our bloods, to study how they can control population through birth control, all kinds of things they've done to us. I found out, 10, 20 years down the road that they gave me an experimental birth control pill that I didn't know was an experimental drug at that time. Just a ton of different things they've done to try to figure out how to slowly wipe out the population, control the population, poison the population so that they can stay in power and stay in control. And I say as a social scientist, because I have so many various lenses in the way that I look at things because of all the types of jobs that I've done in my life. But, so that's my experience as a person that's in the military that has struggled in the system, but also as a researcher and somebody who has studied social science. The ultimate question is, we always ask the question, why? That's the one question I had to learn how to ask over and over again in Chinese when I was over at Liuqing University. Wishama. Why? Why? If, as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, they're preoccupied with melanin, why? Why is it so important? So, I know you have a lot of research, Tarhaka. I'll throw it back at you. I gave you my theory, but the reason why I say that is we all have pieces of the puzzle. And what I used to do when I worked with children is when kids would be at odds, I would sit them in a chair across from one another, and then I would say, explain to us everything you see behind the person that is sitting in front of you. And so that person would give their lens and their perspective. And then I would tell the other person, explain everything you see behind that person, and they would give their lens and their perspective. So in order for us to know what the full room looked like, what we had to learn how to do is respect every perspective and other people's lenses. I came through a spiritual awakening that showed me the importance of my melanin, my blood right, and all of the things that they have been working so hard to understand about me as a black melanated woman from my lens and my perspective. But from your lens and perspective, why are they so preoccupied with our melanin, our medical history, our stuff, that they would go through this extreme to put all of these biotoxins in us, to poison us in this way, to cause us to get sick, to experiment on how to get the population dumbed down? What are they afraid of?
Well, from what I knew, going all the way back to elementary school, I remember they was teaching us about dominance and recessiveness. And I didn't understand what they was talking about then. And of course, it was all us in this elementary school. There was nobody in there that didn't look like us. Nobody, just us. From the faculty, all the kids, the teachers, the janitorial staff, everybody, just us. And they was teaching us about recessive and dominant. And they was saying when you have light eyes, opposed to having dark eyes, that's dominant. Dark is dominant, white is recessive. A light is recessive. And that's the first time I ever heard anything like that. I didn't take a whole lot of stock in it because as far as I was concerned as a child, because I was a child and it was elementary school, people are just people. But then as time go on, I began to notice that there's, wait a minute, something is wrong here. And I couldn't figure it out. I mean, we would go to different football games or basketball games and stuff, and they would have, we'd walk home from the game. I remember one day coming down the street, and here comes a busload of white children on the bus, all on the bus, and when they seen us walking down the road, they all out the N-word, and I was like, well, okay, what is this? I mean, we just left y'all in the gymnasium. Why didn't you just say that to us then? We were right there where you were. And so the recessiveness and weak also has another element called cowardice. And and then we coming down the same road, we won the game. Here come two white guys in a car. I mean, they coming down the road fast. They all like cars, the N-word. And we, they speeding by, and then they come back by, go around the block and come back again with the N-word. But the last time they came around, the car ran out of gas. And they got out trying to pull your car, and boy, here come, I think it had to be about 25 or 30 of us running down there. And they going to try to explain to us that they didn't mean no harm, they were just joking and all that. But they had this place over there kind of like across the street where they fixed on tires and stuff for people. And they came out there and they said, man, y'all gonna kill them, man. Y'all gonna kill them. Y'all gonna beat them to death out here. And the police and the rescue unit come there and take them and put them in the hospital. I don't know whether they lived or died, but it was so bad because they were slinging them all over everywhere, doing everything. But another time, me and a friend went down to St. Augustine, Florida. And we went into this restaurant, and you had to stand out there in line in the restaurant. But it was this white girl. She got out the line. She had been out there on the beach, and from her waist down, she had on shorts. Her legs were tan. But from the waist up, there was no tan. but she was parading up and down because she seen us as the only couple in the line that looked like us. I want you to know that at least half of me look like you. And I was like, well, why won't she just get in line and leave that alone? To me, this is incredible. She wouldn't be still. She just had to, you know, she acted as if the tan was some type of badge that she was wearing, some type of gold jewelry or diamond ring or something that she was wearing. And so it's really, really a phenomenon where you can hate someone so much and then turn around and steal everything about them. That's incredible. But that's the way it is. Then they have this thing that, as far as we're concerned, just through regular procreation, we have the ability to cause genetic annihilation. This brings on an attack. But the system, what we need to understand is the system that we're dealing with is a global system. And we, people of color worldwide, is a majority, not a minority. And I've been listening to people saying, well, we need funding for the minorities, Who are you talking to? Because I'm not a minority. I'm among the majority. You know, the majority of the Earth's population is people of color. But we got this one little speck that's got this system dynamic in place. And it is a terrible system, and it encompasses all areas of our activity on the planet: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And so what I'm trying to do with these shows here is to expose this dynamic and look at the underbelly of America and stuff and what's going on. But that is my position, and based on what I see. As far as the relationships are concerned, I was listening to Louis Farrakhan once, and he was talking to the brothers. He said, brothers, I want to ask you a question. When it comes to dating outside your race, with the so-called white woman, my question to you is, what do you need her for? You didn't say what you want her for. He said, well, what do you need her for? And the entire audience was quiet. And I don't think that anybody should hate anybody. I think we should be too busy admiring and loving and embracing ourselves, our customs, and our own culture. That's what we should be doing as people. And I had when I was on a job once, I was working for a bakery, and somebody said, well, man, you don't like white people. I said, well, hey, man, I consider that an insult. And the white guy, he's the engineer, he said, well, I need to know why you consider that an insult. I said, well, I do. I said, I came from a people who built the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen. So why would I invest or stoop to invest any type of attitude against you? By the time you and your people came on the scene of civilization itself, civilization had already been created. All that needed to be done, invented, and everything had already been done by the time you come up out the caves and the rocks. So, man, don't take me down there. Accuse me of being prejudiced against you, hating you. Well, what? What is it that I'm hating? Nothing. But anyway, could you tell us about the Veterans Administration? What's going on with that?
You know, you gave us a lot of information the other night on your other show about things that I didn't even know about the racism with the workers there. But the VA, I thought was going to be a better version of what I experienced in the military, but it's just another arm of the same. They if you go to certain places, like I said, they basically know that you're a captive audience to do experiments on you. So I'll go there for testing just to see what I have to deal with, and then I leave there, take my test, and find natural remedies to take care of myself. But they have had problems from inception. First and foremost, people just trying to get their VA benefits, just trying to qualify for the stuff that they have already served for, is a fight. So if you have a person that's coming back from a war zone that's already jacked up and they're trying, their nerves are shot and they're just trying to get their regular VA benefits, they can't just walk in there and be seen. They got to go through an entire process, and that process can be arduous at times. And so you talk about people living on the street. Some people don't have the wherewithal to go through the system just to get what they've already worked for. None of this stuff for us is free. We work. We pay the price. My body paid the price for everything that, they owe me. They owe me. They owe us, and it's like you got to twist their arm to give you what they already owe you. And so you see a lot of people that's on the street that don't have the wherewithal to go through that process. It wears them out. You talk about people who are on the brink of suicide when they walk in there, and then they give these people medications that actually induce the suicidal ideation. And so you're talking about more than 21, 22 veterans dying a day. That might be why. Then they use us as the guinea pigs for big pharma because they got to keep their money pumping. So they overwrite prescriptions. They basically, look for a body to come in there, ask you, one or two questions to figure out how much medication that they can prescribe to you so that they can keep their quota of keeping their money running through. So if I was to have taken everything they gave me, you and I wouldn't even be on this call tonight. I'd be dead already. And a lot of people don't have that kind of discipline. A lot of people don't have that kind of wherewithal to fight against it. Some people succumb to it. These things that they are doing it's the rabbit hole is so deep. I didn't go too deep into the whole Persian Gulf situation, but I served in Bosnia. They sent some of us over there with contaminated bottled water, things like that we had to deal with. They tell you don't drink the water in the region, but yet your government sends you overseas and ship contaminated bottled water to you. Just all kinds of stuff, Tarhaka. I didn't find out recently that I was exposed to depleted uranium in that war, which caused a lot of issues because a lot of the stuff that was coming off the planes, I debriefed the pilots as they came off their sortie, so I'm in the hangar. I'm the first one that they jump out of the plane and talk to. I'm ordering parts. I'm trying to get them back in the air and all of this stuff. I'm exposed, So we didn't know all of this stuff that we was exposed to while we was out there doing what we were doing. Hell, half of us didn't even know why we was out there in the first place. Just doing what we think we need to do to make a buck to bring it back home, and don't realize the severity of what our government is doing truly around the world until we come back and we wake up and see, oh my God, look at this bullshit. So, don't blame the 18, 19, 20-year-olds that's just trying to make it, Tarhaka. You was kind of hard on us in your last broadcast, but some of us did what we felt like we had to do. Some of us stayed home and slung drugs, and I want to say this too. If I would have gone and gotten shot, at least I'd have had medical, but I have someone in my family that stayed home and got shot anyway. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
So we had to do what we had to do to make it, some of us, back then. Now, if I had social media back then, I was the top dog musician back then. I would have just started a YouTube channel, played my instrument, and made money that way. We didn't have the options these young kids have today, So I tell these kids today, don't even think about going. Do not even think about going. It's not worth it. If you're even considering it, it is not worth it. don't do it. Because the price you got to pay on the back end of the deal, it might be heavier than you think it's going to be. Some people fare out, okay. Some people are living a good life. But many of us came out and we suffered, and we didn't know we were going to suffer the way we had to suffer. So, and the suffering sometimes doesn't end until you take a hold of your own life and pull your own life in your own hands and start making some changes for yourself.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something now. What are your views on politics in the current new vice president that's going to be running? What is her name, Kamala Harris? Or what do you think about this, Democrat?
You don't want to ask me that.
Have you ever heard? Well, wait a minute. Before you answer, has anybody ever seen her in a dress? Because I'm waiting on, because she be out on the stage and stuff like that, and I'm wondering about this here. I'm waiting on to see her with a dress on. You ever seen her with one on? Is it any photograph anywhere with a dress on?
I don't know, and I really don't care, Tarhaka. Like I don't engage in the political process anymore.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to fall. It's supposed to fall, and we're supposed to start over. That's just my personal take on how I see the golden age being ushered in. I feel like some of us are here to usher in something that's unseen, has never been heard of before. But I understand that people are very vested in this situation, so I don't want to disrespect anybody that's extremely vested in this, but it's all a joke. It's a game to me. I'm just sitting back with my popcorn looking at the show.
Oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to do with that. Now, that I think is that I'm going to show you, in my opinion, this guy here is a phenomenon. And I want to run this little plug, and you tell me what you think, okay? And we'll be back and we'll continue. I'm gonna run this right here. You let me know what you think about this right here.
Welcome to the bullpen.
Okay.
In the bullpen today, I have a conservative radio talk personality, TV host, extreme conservative, and he's proud of it, Pastor Jesse Lee Peterson, founder and president of Bond, B-O-N-D, and host of JLP Show and The Fallen State. Pastor Peterson, good day. Welcome to Indisputable.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Sir, you all have a celebration coming up next month. Are you not the founder of White History Month, I think, which starts in July?
Yeah, we're going to be celebrating our 4th year of White History Month in July. And the reason that we started it in July is because if you notice, July just feels white.
Yeah.
You know, it's summertime, vacation time, relaxing time, reflecting time, and appreciating the greatest country on this side of heaven.
Gotcha.
And so we are recognizing that and showing our appreciation for it.
I think it's important for people to know you're not a comedian. What you're saying, right, what you're saying, this is actually you. You do this. You're the founder of White History Month.
Yes.
You've also been very critical of Juneteenth. You have called it a fake holiday, but you are... you want to make sure that everyone supports White History Month.
Absolutely.
I do want to have a policy discussion with you about the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act. I'm going to attempt to have that policy discussion with you. Do you agree or disagree with the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act?
I totally disagree because, as we all know, George Floyd was a black, unemployed drug addict with a criminal record. And I just
okay. Let's first of all, let's clear something up, sir. You really should be ashamed of yourself. You call yourself a Christian pastor. George Floyd is dead.
It's his fault.
He's dead because a cop killed him.
No, he's dead because he was a drug addict.
My question to you, and that's adverse to the evidence, by the way, what you just said. My question to you was about policy. So let me ask you, What in the policy of the George Floyd Policing Act do you disagree with?
The whole idea,
Which part of the policy, Jesse?
Blaming the cops and no responsibility
Jesse,
for the
I'm
black.
asking you, what part of the policy is written? You can find it at congress.gov. What part of the policy, sir, do you disagree with? This is a simple question.
I disagree with the whole idea of a
You
policy.
haven't read the policy. You haven't even read the damn policy. Come on,
I don't
Jesse.
need to read it. I don't need to read it to know the truth, because what I've noticed is that black people today, due to their lack of love, their lack of believing in God, they love evil more than they love good, right?
So that's the reason why you don't read.
And so
that's the reason why you don't read.
Right, because we're written by no good black people. And why should I waste my time knowing what they're about? Black folks today, and not all, but most, have no sense of direction. They're blaming everybody but themselves. And until they take responsibility for their own lives, they're not going to get better. The real truth is,
let me ask
George
you, sir,
Floyd is dead because of George Floyd and no one else.
That's a ridiculous point. But do you blame yourself for not reading the policy, or you blame somebody else?
Why should I read the policy when I already know the people?
You don't even know what's in the policy, do you?
I don't need to know. Don't want to know. I know the people who are writing it. They're no good.
Okay. Let's talk about Black Lives Matter. This is probably going to end up being an utter waste of my time having you on the show. What are your thoughts about
You
Black
don't know
Lives
that.
Matter?
You may learn something.
Well, we'll see, preacher. What is it about Black Lives Matter that you disagree with fundamentally?
Black Lives Matter was founded by a bunch of fat, black, radical lesbians.
Okay.
And who
All
hate
right, have
God.
a good night. Get this clown off my show. I appreciate you.
Who hate God, who hate the nuclear family.
Yeah. Listen, for those of you who wanted me to continue to engage that clown on this show, I'm sorry, I just couldn't do it. I'm only a human being. So please forgive me, okay? All right.
Okay, we're back. Susie, you still with me?
I'm here.
Are you familiar with Jesse Peterson?
I am not. Is that a black man?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Well, see, the reason why I want to put that on is because I want our people to not, don't just focus only on the global system of white supremacy. There is something else we need to pay attention to. I seen a article on Facebook where there's a brother standing on the corner in a busy intersection with holding up a Confederate flag. And I'm trying to figure, what is he doing? What is he? People riding by, cussing and by, all kinds of stuff is going on. So there is more to what we are up against than just the global system of white supremacy. We have some stuff right in our own myth that's totally off the chain. Here's a man that is saying that he is started a new movement called White History Month. Can you imagine some of that's going on? And what I'm trying to figure out is I'm looking at my watch, because so far ain't nobody shot him. And I'm looking at the clock, I'm counting, waiting. But anyway, you have some more. Do you have some more? You want to take us a little bit further on down in this rabbit hole?
You know, our issues are definitely multi-layered. You know, we have people like that with a level of self-hate because of the job that has been done on us. As Dr. Joy DeGruy would call it, post-traumatic slave syndrome, where we've been beaten to the pulp, where we feel like siding with the white man is the only way to win. So you got people like that. You got people like the Roland Martins of the world, the Boulay, that feel like siding with the establishment is the way to win because they're getting something out of the establishment. You have people that don't have our best interests at heart at all, that looks exactly like us, which is why I talk multidimensional. You heard me talk about the physical, you heard me talk about the spiritual, because there are things happening on every layer right now, especially. And I think that to be focused on one and to be blind to another is to be asleep to it all. We have to be awakened on every level, mind, body, soul, and spirit, because all of these things are portals of attack on us as we're making this turning point into a new era right now. And so people like him, it's sad, it's painful, but this is the level of self-hate many of our people have dealt with and are dealing with because we have been beaten to a pulp as a group of people. And I think that only the strong will survive. And people like him will soon get his, as they would call it, your nigga wake-up call. So.
Okay. Now, I have something else I want to interject in here. And I have the ISIS papers, Keys to the Color, by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And right here on page 2, we have Neely Fuller in his 1969 copywritten, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and action for victims of racism and white supremacy. He states on page 3, Fuller explains that racism is not merely a pattern of individual and institutional practice. It is a universally operating system of white supremacy and domination in which the majority of the world's white people participate. He discounts the validity of theories that recognize the evolution of economic systems as the origin of this state of affairs. Instead, he reveals the inadequate analysis of such theories by suggesting that various economic systems such as capitalism, communism, and socialism have been devised, used, and refined in the effort to achieve the primary goal of white domination. In other words, the goal of the white supremacy system is none other than the establishment, maintenance, expansion, and refinement of world domination by members of a group that classifies itself as the white race. And I wanted to interject that so that we won't lose sight of the fact that this is not just a little local individual county or city or state situation that people are dealing with. This is a global dynamic, and it has affected people in many, many different ways, as you just heard this brother that we just finished listening to, what he has come up with, which leaves me in amazed wonderment and baffles me beyond the bounds of human sanity. He's like, and then he wears some type of badge, like, well, you know, I'm a minister of the gospel, and these people ain't no good out here. These black people ain't no good. Well, ooh, my goodness, I think the Pope to throw a brick at him. But anyway, when you where else have you traveled and experienced some more of this kind of stuff that you were telling us about? Is there anything else that happened in a different part of the world while you was a part of the Air Force?
Well, the most pertinent part was right here on U.S. soil, and I have to make sure I don't think I did a good job of explaining that at the top of the hour. So what they did when this information started to come out is they tried to blame it on the Iraq war, and it's like, well, you know, people got exposed over there somewhere in Iraq, right? Some explosion happened and those people got sick, and that's how they ended up with all of these medical issues. Well, those of us who did not go to that war we all had to get vaccinated at the same time, whether we went into that region or not. Now, I was working the war, but I was stateside because I was the head. I was headquarters. And so I didn't have to go over there, but I still had to get vaccinated like everybody else. And all of us got sick. It had the audacity 30 years later to ask us all to come in if we would be a part of an experiment to see how we are doing, those of us that have survived, those who went to Iraq versus those who stayed home. Like it's not even a secret anymore that we've done this experiment on you to see what the fallout would be for those who have gone versus those of us who stayed here for that particular war. And so things like this is happening all over the place. Like I said, my exposure was the Bosnian War for anything outside of here, but they take you to foreign grounds because a lot of the things that they're experimenting on is not, they can't pull it off here. So what better thing to do than to put us in these conflicts? Because back then when I went to Bosnia, it was so secret I couldn't even tell my family goodbye. They didn't tell anybody. Bill Clinton came on television and told y'all, we have no troops in Bosnia. We're sitting over there like, what are we? You know, and what? So they can get away with experimenting on us outside of the U.S. territory. And I had a friend of mine whose father actually worked for a cloning center. He said that they couldn't do certain experiments in the U.S., but they would take folks to England, and they had a huge center of just cloning people in England. You know, so they're doing a lot of stuff. The rabbit hole is deeper than most people, I think, can stomach, you know. I feel like I already went too far, and most people probably got to grapple with some of the stuff I had to say. And I don't, you know, at the risk of sounding crazy to people, because, you know, some people won't get it for like another 10 years if they last that long. But there's so many things happening because the average person is not thinking as nefarious as the people that's doing the stuff. They can't conceive of the types of things that's happening to people that are being planned against people, you know, for this global domination. And to speak about that global domination you talked about earlier, just a moment. Like I say, I'm neither blue nor red. I don't give a damn about none of it. However, I think that black people are doing themselves a disservice by siding with this blue side that's for global, for that global takeover. I don't care about neither one, but at least the red is trying to represent something more nationalistic. They're trying to hang on to the country a little bit longer, but the blue party is just giving it over to the global masters, basically. And I think that to put ourselves as a face on that type of activity is dangerous for us. There used to be a time in my life, I traveled the world freely in my 20s as a kid. I used to say the world is my playground. And I never thought about getting kidnapped, what do you call it, and held for ransom because of certain things that was, you know, political, you know, or anything like that. But we have so many black faces in positions that doing the white man's agenda right now is scary. And if I worry about anything with us, I worry about us being the face of certain things. They'll put us in positions that look like they're positions of power, Kamala being, you know, who she's doing, you know, what she's doing. They'll put you in those knowing that you're not going to run shit. You ain't running nothing. But they'll put your face there so you and your people can get the fallout of it, you know, of what they're doing. And so if I have any concerns, I do have concerns about stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I have a sister because I looked at the political situation, and I asked my family members, are you going to vote again? Did you take the vaccine? Yeah, I'm going to vote. I voted. Well, I'm going to vote for it private. And I asked, I said, well, look, as long as you've been voting, as long as I've been knowing you, you've been doing it. In your opinion, what kind of benefit have you gotten out of it as an individual? Well, there's a lot of things that's going on. No, I'm not talking about what's going on. I'm asking you, what have you benefited from voting for the people that you've been voting for? Well, that's private. I don't want to discuss it. And you took the vaccine. Yeah, I took the vaccine. You know, like I know, you better take it too. I said, no. And it is amazing. So I've come to the conclusion that you can tell people things, but they're not going to do anything. So the best thing for you to do is to take care of you and deal with you. Make sure you do what you know is right, what's going on. But I need to take another little commercial break. I'm going to mute your mic for a minute, and we'll go down into this, and I'm going to see what this sister has to say about this woman coming in here. And we'll be right back, so just hold on, okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to a little quick commercial break, and when we come back from that, we're going to deal with something here, and then we'll get back with our special guest, Mr. Nicola and Hurst. So y'all hold on a minute.
Hi, I'm Tarhaka. You know, there's a difference between what you believe and what you know for a fact and can prove. I live in the private and can prove it. I've exercised my freedom of right to travel and can prove it. I don't have a mortgage and can prove it. And much, much more. And so does many other people across this country and abroad who are secured party and creditors living in the private. Debt is a burden. It causes people a hard time in life. They can't live live in peace fast enough. Contact me at tarhakadebtelimination.org. You can call me and I'll answer the phone. Leave your email information on my website and get my free report. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org. Get out of debt. It's nothing but a burden. You can't move forward with that. That's a bunch of junk.
And one more thing. The Democratic Party, if you're still on the Democratic plantation of black folks, I don't know what to say. Kamala Harris can't win. Since Joe Biden dropped out, Kamala Harris is not beating Donald Trump at all. So, you're doomed. Kamala Harris can't win, and she already said she's not going to do anything for black people. Yep. You know, if you want me to do something for black people specifically, no, that's what she said. So she's not the candidate for us. For one, she's not even considered black. And for two, she don't have the best interest for us anyway. Neither does these candidates do. The only person I could say that probably would be a good choice is RFK. But other than that, no, it's not going to work.
Can't say that I agree with this brother. I can't in reference to RFK, just due to the fact of what my beliefs are, and I don't necessarily believe in the platform of an RFK. I do agree with him when it comes to Kamala Harris. She can't win. Her policies are terrible. Her history in the Senate and definitely her history as AG out in California, terrible. She can't stand up to what she's done. She just can't. This sister I'm about to pull up, she goes in. So I'm just going to ask you guys to sit back and enjoy the show. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. Let's get it.
Know that Kamala is a token? Do you know that nobody wanted to endorse her? Not even Obama wanted to endorse her because she's incompetent. Nobody wanted her in the position, but they did it because she was black. That's an insult.
It is.
That means you're not intelligent enough. That means you're not quick enough. That means you're not smart enough. That means you're not even equipped. You're just black. And it works. And I know that I have been laying low politically because, again, I've been indicted. Understand something. I've been indicted by the Biden administration.
Wait, who is this lady? Because I just ran across this video out here on the internet, but I didn't catch her name. And what has she been indicted for? Oh, man.
Black woman for standing against the murder of innocent children, including and especially because they take up the biggest margin, black babies, okay? So now Biden has stepped down, right? And I have been laying low. I've been like, listen, I'm not saying nothing. I'm going to just live my life. I'm in Vegas. I'm about to go to the buffet. I'm just trying to eat. I'm trying to be at Sphere. And I'm trying to be at Flyover Vegas, enjoying my little life with my husband before sentencing. But I have to say something. Let me explain something to you. And I'm speaking to the black community. I have to. I'm speaking to the black community, and I'm going to keep it a buck. If you, in your heart, feel like, oh, they're going to put up Kamala, I'm going to vote for Kamala, you are telling me how ignorant you are when it comes to politics. Not as a person, because just because you are ignorant according to politics doesn't mean you're an ignorant person, but you are very ignorant according to politics. And
I would agree with that. Ignorant just means that you don't know. We don't say that to denigrate you guys. It just means that you just don't know.
I'll tell you why. And a lot of people will get offended, but I don't care. I'm going to be honest with you, okay? Kamala, number one, has never been for the black community. I want you to understand something. Kamala has played a part, just like Joe Biden, in persecuting and putting African-American people in jail by the droves. Droves.
That's why she's in the position that she's in, because she just keeps on with the status quo. That is who the Democrat Party is and who they've always been. It's just so unfortunate that there are so many people out there that don't know, or they won't believe it, or they believe the lie that the party switched somewhere down the line or a long time ago, which is the furthest thing from the truth as well.
Okay? When it comes to drug crime, she has treated drug crime as if it was murder. Okay? And then on top of that, let me explain something to you. The only reason why Kamala is a vice president in the first place is because she's black. It is not because she is qualified. It is not because she is competent. It is because she's black. Now, why should you be offended? You would think, oh, well, yeah, we black people. We supposed to support our black folk. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me explain something to you. You should be offended beyond rapport because of the fact that somebody is willing to put someone in a seat for their color even when they're not qualified to do a favor for you. Let me explain to you how the last 4 years have went. Up 3, coming into this 4. Let me explain something to you. So for the first three years, Kamala has not cared about the black community, okay? Kamala and Biden have been doing everything in their power to support illegal immigrants. They have been coming in this country. They're getting your benefits. They putting their kids, these illegal immigrants are going into your kids' schools. They in the hood. They're taking over. You're no longer relevant. They're taking over, okay? Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, okay, they're giving them money. They're giving them credit cards. I mean, they're booking them, taking them. You got immigrants coming straight out of Mexico living better than you did, and your ancestors done built this country up. Boo. Let me explain something to you. That's how valuable you are to the Democrat community, okay? But now, boom, year 4. It's election time. Y'all, we ain't really did nothing for these niggas. I guess we got to do something. Let's call up Kirk Franklin, and he come to the White House. Kirk Franklin went on that stage with them tight shorts or tight suit and that extra low button top that he wears on stage. And he danced, and he got a check. And that was for you. They paid him to please you. That's how important you are. When Hillary wants to campaign, she don't actually focus on issues in the black community that are needed. She says, oh, I got hot sauce in my bag, boo. Are you pandering to us? Is it working? Oh, y'all forget. Your memory is terrible. Y'all forget. She said, is it working? That's That's how valuable you are.
He said, no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, Swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now
yes.
listen, I just want you to know people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people.
Okay. Is it working?
To get your vote. She don't even have to work and put the agenda in and start to show proof to get your vote, black woman, black man. You so special to be black. You so special to be black that you don't even get no benefits for it. We'll just put Kurt Franklin in and let him dance for the day. That'll do. Oh, the Mexicans, we're going to invest in them. We're going to have them come from the border. We're going to do everything in our power for them. But for you niggas over there, y'all good. Let me explain something to you. Y'all don't understand the amount of racism that you co-sign. You look crazy. These people see you as animals and dogs. They tell you it's raining and are pissing on your head, and you sit there and you let them, and it blows my mind. Okay? Blows my mind. Let me explain something to you. I have never in my life dealt with racism. People are like, oh, technically it's systematic. Systematic racism means there's supposed to be racism there in the system, but you can't see it because it's so intertwined in the system. Let me explain something to you. I did not experience racism until the day Joe Biden used Letitia James, a black attorney general, along with Damian Williams, a black FBI head of FBI agency, and they indicted me for standing against the abortion murder of black kids. Do you know the agent that they used to investigate me was a black man? He has an African name. Do you know that they used their tokens to go after black people that got out of line? They used the guys in the house in line cleaning the bathroom to get the ones out on the field trying to wake people up to know that this is slavery and this is bondage. Do you know that? Do you know that Kamala is a token? Do you know that nobody wanted to endorse her? Not even Obama wanted to endorse her because she's incompetent. Nobody wanted her in the position, but they did it because she was black. That's an insult. That means you're not intelligent enough. That means you're not quick enough. That means you're not smart enough. That means you're not even equipped. You're just black. And it works. And no, it's not benefiting the entire black community. No. Let's just put a token in. Because that's enough of them. They'll struggle to the end as long as they can look up at that token for the rest of their life. How? Listen, I promise you I wasn't going to say nothing. That's DoorDash right there. I wasn't going to say nothing. But you might have to go to the front. I think your food is there. In a second. They dropping it off at the lobby. Let me say something to you. I am so tired of the black community and y'all low standards. The standards are so low. You are so low in your standards, that even in your vote, that we are looked at as a joke. Do you understand other communities are coming in and laughing at us? You have Russians and Ukrainians and people from all these different countries coming in. They're getting trade jobs. They're starting businesses. They're buying houses on the block. They've been here for 10 years, and we're scrambling to the top. And yet we don't stand for it when it really matters. We just want to see somebody that look like us and we good. Oh, she look like us. That works. That's your standard? That works? Oh, she look like me. She's black. First of all, she's not, but I ain't even going to go there with you. For your sake.
I'm glad she said it because you guys probably don't recall, but when she first got into the Senate, she was calling herself Indian, and she was part of the quote-unquote first or, that first wave of Indian people to be in Congress or to be in the Senate. That's what she was saying. She is whatever they need her to be when the time is convenient. And the fact that yesterday there was a report that said that they had a Zoom call with 40,000 black women that joined this call. They raised about $1.5 million on this call. And you have sisters that are getting behind this party. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that that's the case, but it saddens me that that is the case because these women are selling out their own communities for identity politics. Just to say we had a black woman as president, it is sickening. They know this lady's not going to do anything for the black community. They know this lady is going to be a full-fledged detriment to the American people in general. She, out of her own mouth, has said, I don't have any intent on doing anything for black people because there's no connection there. And I'm not even one that says that a politician needs to do something specifically for one group of people. I'm not even one that believes in that type of stuff. But here it is. You have people that are willing to donate money, and they're willing to get behind a person who has shown themselves to be against you and shown themselves to be a detriment to your community. Go look at her record out in California. Just go look at it. This sister right here, man, is dropping bars.
For your peace and comfort, yeah, she's black. But guess what? She don't give a damn about you.
Nope.
She don't give a damn about you. She didn't petition for nothing regarding the black community since she's been up there. But you know what, Kirk Franklin? Pull up, because you know we ain't really been doing that for 3 years. Go ahead, pull up and sing, dance, twirl. That's what they see y'all as.
Yep.
Dance, twirl, sing, nigga. I'm going to say it straight up because
do that little dance you do.
it's a hard thing to hear, but you need to hear it. You're out of line when you speak the gospel of Jesus, when you speak the truth, when you say that abortion is murder, when you say that these things are wrong, when you say that homosexuality is wrong, you are out of line. Who are you to say what's wrong and what's right and who's a true and living God? Go dance. Go dance. Get your leotard, get on stage, put on your heels and shake your butt. Get your long weave, boo. Y'all bragging about who got the longest weave. They over here crossing $1 million transactions under your nose on your dollar. Go dance. Go shake. Go dribble the ball. Go ball out. Go play that basketball, boo. Go hit a football. Go hit a touchdown and shut up. Hit a touchdown and shut up. That's what you do. What do you mean? You out here standing in front of abortion clinic like you somebody. You gotten a little too uppity, nigga. You out of line. Let me tell you something. Had I have really been out here committing crime for real, stealing and being a detriment to this nation for real, a danger on the street, I would have got a pat on my wrist. Are you kidding me? They would have said, all right, girl, go ahead. You out here acting up. Go live your life. They wouldn't have did nothing. Federally indicted, secret grand jury meeting to put out all the videos of me standing in front, preaching the gospel, not with a bat, not with a gun, nothing, just standing there preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, declaring the truth and saying that abortion is murder. Now you get a federal indictment. You got the FBI watching you. Do you know the FBI been watching me since 2019? I went to Africa and back. I went to Nigeria. They recorded when my baby was born. They documented when my baby was born. They documented when we went to Nigeria for a missions trip. They documented when me and Ricky got married. They documented everything I did because I was a nigga out of line. That's what y'all want. Y'all vote people in, and y'all don't understand. You're voting in your image of being a nigga in line. That's what you do when you vote Democrat. That's what you do when you dare decide, oh, I'm going to support Kamala. That's what you are. You're literally a sheep. You're a sheep, and you're not even a good sheep. At least a sheep follows a good shepherd, a shepherd that feeds them and takes care of them. Y'all don't even care. Y'all shepherd got y'all blind, naked, deaf, and dumb, robbing your country, sending your money to Ukraine. Kamala ain't petitioning for you. You kidding me? People in Ukraine living good right now. I'm seeing a bunch of Ukrainians over here, a bunch of Mexicans all in my neighborhood. It's mad Mexicans in Uruguay. Mad Mexicans. I ain't never seen this many Mexicans in Uruguay. You got Ukrainian people all over the place. They two-stepping, living good. We live in a nice neighborhood. We got them moving up with us. They moving in our neighborhood. Chilling. What? Living good, eating good, vegetarian with the brown rice. And now, it's election year, you guys. Mind you, they didn't even want to put Kamala in. They really didn't want her. She was the last result. How does that make you feel, black woman? You're supposed to be so strong. You're supposed to be so intelligent. And I'm not saying that you're not. But doesn't it insult you that somebody is only in a position that they're in because they're black and they're a woman and they need the vote? They could give a dang about anything else? that she's intelligent, that she's smart, that she's a great speaker. She's a joke. She make black women look like a joke. She make us look like we goofy. Yeah, you know, what's the line she say? She repeat the same sentence 10 different times.
Imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know? What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been.
What can be, unburdened by what has been.
She don't know what she's saying, probably because she's nervous. But guess what? When she was in there putting them niggas in jail, she wasn't nervous being a prosecutor. She knew exactly what to say. She knew exactly what to do. She ain't that innocent. She ain't that innocent. Sorry. Do a little bit more research. Be a little bit more confident in this season. Don't be a dummy. Don't follow the sheep. Do better. Do better. Please, I'm begging you. Do better.
I don't even know if I want to add anything else to that, man. I mean, she said it all and then some. And shout out to the sister, man. God
All right, everybody, we're back. Now, our special guest is Nicola M. Hurst, author of Recovering from 2020. We're going to bring her back in because I have some more questions I need to ask her. Sister Nicola, you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay. When you was, you say you was a part of the ministry. Why did you leave that? And so why did you leave? What was it that caused you to leave the ministry?
Well, it was a gradual process, Tarhaka, of awakening for me. First and foremost, I have always been spiritually connected. I came into the world knowing exactly who I was, but I succumbed to indoctrination. But I mean, there's my mom actually journaled and recorded me talking to the spirit realm at 3 and 4 years old, asking questions and things like that. But of course, I got indoctrinated into Christianity, and that's the lane I ran in for a long time. And I went into a parachurch organization, and that was probably one of my biggest turning points, as I was always asking questions, because anything that I do in the spirit realm, I'm seeing how it is to work in a practical. Like if I'm learning all of this Greek and Hebrew, how does that work in everyday life? Things like that. But I got into this parachurch organization. Actually, they sought me out because they saw the work that I was doing on the streets with the homeless kids and things of that nature. And somebody literally knocked on my door with an application and asked me to work for this organization. And I came on board and began to see racism and how that worked and how they manipulated spirituality racially. And I had never seen that quite that way before, because most of my, spiritual existence was like in black churches, etc. And I'm like, oh, this is a game for a lot of people. And someone encouraged me to go to seminary. And like I said, I'm already questioning many different things that was happening in this parachurch organization, how they were using black kids for money and their faces and their stories and their poverty and things like that for these white people to get money, the way they fundraised on our backs. There was a lot of different things that just turned me off completely. And then I was also a part of one of the biggest mega churches in the nation. If I start mentioning names, y'all would know exactly who I was an elder for back in the day. And so I was beginning to see that this was not, things were not, there's a lot of business behind the ministry. It got to the point, it was so bad, I was like, I'm not crooked enough to be a minister. It got that bad. It got that bad. I was like, man, I'm not crooked enough to be a preacher up in this camp. I went to seminary after. I went to seminary because I was tired. Actually, I went there. I decided, because I'd gone through the whole Hurricane Katrina situation with my family and everything, and I'd never had a chance to really recover for myself. So I was like, I'm just going to go out west, recover, and I don't know, for whatever reason, finish my grad school stuff. And I'll go out there, and I got exposed in a whole different way to how this is another game. Theology was another game, another arm of the manipulation that was used against us. And I couldn't see it fully for what it was until I had to go all the way in for me to come out, so to speak. Like I had to go as deep as you can go so that I can finally come to a space where it began to resonate, like I see the game for what it is, And so I continued to study, and I was studying beyond the Greek, beyond the Hebrew. I was studying to see, okay, what about this that, you want me to write papers that agree with your stance, but I don't think the way that you think, because most of the time I was the only black person in the class. And I was beginning to see beyond a lot of the things that I was being trained to see. And I started seeing, more of Memphis, Egypt, and Memphite theology, and I kept studying. I just kept studying. And I'm still studying. I can't say I'm where I'm supposed to be yet because I still keep growing. Because one thing that I know that about people who actually study, the more you study, the more you realize you truly don't know nothing. you know nothing. And so I didn't even, it wasn't like a declaration that I denounced anything. It was, I just gradually walked away from things as I elevated spiritually to the next level. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't like I put this down or I denounced this or that. It's just I began to elevate out of it.
Okay. Now, when you, what did you think about it when you ran into Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and the ISIS papers, listing religion as one of the 9 points of the global system of white supremacy? What did you think then?
By the time I got to the ISIS papers, I had already been exposed to Dr. John Henry Clark. I had already gone through so many things in seminary itself that it all kind of came full circle for me. And one of the things that I realized in seminary is that they get you to go through like a session where you have to work with the police department and the government officials. And I come to realize that, we're, as ministers, was called to be on board with whatever narrative your government officials wanted you to preach on Sunday morning. And so when I started seeing how deep the game went with that, I was like, I'm like I was saying, I'm not crooked enough to do this because I'm deeply spiritually led. And I don't play with God or souls and spirits that way. And so I can't do this. Now, I've sat next to people as I begin to learn and grow and see things. And I was like, there's no way I could go back and preach what I used to preach like that. And I asked a friend of mine who was taking over his father's mega church. I was like, what do you think? Are you going to, now that you're learning about this truth, are you going to go back and try to tell these people the truth? And he's like, girl, I'm not about to mess up my money. These people want to hear the lie. And so I'm going to go back, make my money, and let them hear what they want to hear. And then there's, I can't play that game with God. I know that I am somebody that's strategically called by the spirit realm, but there are many people out there that know better, but they know that people would rather have the lie than to wrestle with the uncomfortable truth. And so they choose the lie over the truth. And some people get paid really, really well to keep giving them that lie.
Okay. Well, now, tell us about what happened when you got into your spiritualism.
To be honest with you, it was always with me, but I had religion also holding me back. I come from a family of seers. We've always been feet in both worlds. From a little girl, I had a sister that she always knew who was about to die before they died. We see things before they happen. We've always been that family. So my feet were always in both. They were always in both two worlds anyway. But as I began to study how it wasn't that I was studying theology as much as how they were trying to get me to think, and things began to open up. And I got sick in school. I told you that my body slammed 10 years into having all of this stuff done by the military, 10 years in, my body went down. And it's a crazy way that sometimes spirituality opens up itself to you. In my case, it opened up to me through pain. I was in excruciating pain.
Okay.
My body was racked with pain from fibromyalgia and all of the stuff that I was dealing with medically. And I would notice that when certain people would come into my space, how I would feel energetically. And I was like, oh, when this person comes into my space, it saps my energy away. But this person comes into my space and I feel energized. This person comes into my space, I feel a certain way. And so it was literally through pain that began to get me to look at energy a certain way. And my quest to find out more about this energy led me into metaphysics. So I went back to school and I got a bachelor's degree in metaphysics and working right now on a doctorate in metaphysical psychology, because metaphysics began to pique my curiosity. And I began to look at different forms of how my people practice their own spirituality before the invasion, before we were, colonized and stolen and et cetera. And so, one of the things I used to think about when I was in classes is like, I feel like every culture have a little piece of the pie of how to relate to this power, this beautiful love energy that many people choose to call God. And what a horrible thing that colonization has done to people, to take that away from folks and replace it with something that demonized what they already had. People lived and existed for thousands upon thousands of years before Christianity, but yet cultural practices were wiped out because of colonization. And when I got to really truly see how mission work was truly weaponized against the people that they were, quote unquote, calling themselves coming to help, it really, did a job on me. So my spirituality opened up as I began to explore all of these various ways that people related to the spirit realm through nature, through the elements, through their relationship to plants and animals and things of that nature. And I'm still growing and learning. I'm not there by any means, but I've definitely opened up as I begin to explore my past lives and all of those other things.
Okay, so you went in. Have you ever accessed the Accusations records?
All the time.
Okay, how does that work?
This is the stuff that is within us that I was talking about earlier, the DNA. Now, for me, a lot of us, if we are able to do deep meditation, you can focus on something you're trying to get an answer to, and you can go back into your Akashic records in that way. Some people, for me, mostly it comes through my dreams, certain things that I'm trying to get answers to. In fact, it was my dream state that began to really open me up to my past lives and talk to me about Memphite theology, because I had a dream. The dream made me get up and look up Memphis, and I started doing the etymology on the words that I was seeing when it was leading me to certain things. Then I started finding videos. Like one of the first videos I saw on Memphite theology was like through Kaba Kamene, Professor Kaba Kamene. I call him Baba Kaba today. And it just led me, Hiawatha Kamene, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I began to use my dream state to help guide me back into my Akashic record. Certain things I saw, I would see clips of who I was in other lifetimes and things of that sort. And then another way that I accessed it was through ayahuasca when I went to Costa Rica. And so people have different ways that they, go back into that space. But that's some of the ways that I've gone back into my Akashic records. And sometimes it's just a quiet time of meditation in the morning and journaling, and something to come to me that I need to hear or know from that space.
Okay, so your spiritual information that you're dealing with, that it seems to me, based on what you're telling me, that has made the difference to separates you from religion, and spiritualism is something you should have had in the first place. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was told when I was about from a shaman, I was about 3 years old when I had asthma so bad I had a collapsed lung, and I think they said I passed and came back to life. And he said if you were in your natural spiritual element, at that time you would have been whisked away and taken to the witch doctor or whatever to learn medicine at that time if you were in your natural state. But because you were indoctrinated, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry you had to go through indoctrination. But you know what? I tell people all the time, I count it all joy, as the old people told me. I count it all joy because I don't take anything from my journey. There was things I had to learn on that journey. And there were things that I had to pick up that helps me when I'm helping other people today, that had I not taken that particular journey, I wouldn't be able to help the type of people that I'm helping today. So I'm grateful. And there was a lot of people I pulled off the streets and helped to get off drugs, and kids that I pulled away from suicidal attempts and all types of things because I had, that walk at that particular time in my life in religion. So I'm not, it's not a bad thing that I had that walk, but I did have to go through that walk of religion before I made my way out of it into a spiritual way of living.
Okay. Now, how do your family members, what do your family members think about where you are now with your spiritualism?
They don't know what to do with me. No, they don't know what to do with me. They just, they kind of tolerate me. I don't give them too much of my personal life. My spirituality is pretty much my own lane. It's not like I go home touting who and what I am or whatever. They just know that some things are different today. And so I just kind of keep it that way, and I love on them where they are. They kind of love on me where I am.
Okay. Well, now your diet. What are you doing different today?
Well, definitely, I'm much more conscious about eating cleaner foods today because I want to make sure that I'm in alignment to hear downloads, spiritual downloads. And so I'm not touting, like, everybody expects you to go a certain route. Veganism is not for everybody, and I'm not a vegan. But I am. I have dealers. I'm in a space now where I get fresh farm to table food, so my food is clean, so that I can stay in alignment with making sure that my temple is clean.
Okay. Now you're not dealing with anything with the military based on what they've done to you at this point.
I'm still cleaning out the biotoxins from my system from what they put in me. I'm still dealing with the chronic pain that is getting better day by day, but it's a process. You're talking about stuff that has been done to me over decades of time that I wasn't even aware of. For a long time, I thought that the doctors were helping me, and all they were doing is hurting me more. And so I have to clean up all of that. So yeah, this is an ongoing process for me to clean up my life and finding the right stuff that works actually for my body, because everybody feel like they have the cure, and I've spent thousands of dollars on folks' cures that didn't work for me, So I had to sit still with my own spiritual team and develop a process that works for my body. And so I'm on the process on the men right now. In fact, this whole interview that we're doing right now is an exception to my rule, because I have been on a deep sabbatical away from people and not talking to anybody really about my life or anything that I'm doing, because I am in a healing space. So I'm not taking any clients. I'm not doing any interviews. I haven't been doing anything. So this is definitely an exception right now for me, because I am still on the men right now.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have gotten you here this evening for this conversation. What about your circle? Have you eliminated certain individuals from your circle?
Yeah, that comes with the territory. I tell people anytime you heal, elevate, and change, people will automatically drop out of your circle. And I think you have to develop a tough enough skin to realize that you can't take everybody where you're trying to go.
I agree 100%. So you have a very small circle.
Very small.
That's good. That's good. And but you got to, in my opinion, I think you have to change and make change. You can't have a whole lot of stuff. I went around in here and I realized that I had old shoes that I didn't throw away. And then once in a while I'll stick my foot in them. And when I stick my foot in them, I go, no, I want to get these. And I leave them like that. But they just sit in the house. And I say, wait a minute. I gathered up all of them old shoes and throw them in the garbage can. I went to the closet, and I ain't got in the sock drawer yet. I'm going to get up in there and see what socks I got in there. Got a hole in it going in the garbage shoes. But you have to change your environment and your space in order to clear up and stabilize the energy that you have. And so
yeah, the whole shebang had to change. I had to move states, homes, shed everything, gave away everything, and started completely over to start purging whatever is in me that has to be purged to get this stuff out of my system. But I tell people this all the time, though. You have to be more invested in where you're trying to go than pleasing people to stay where you've been. And so for some people, that's harder than for others. But if you're not willing to shed snake skin as you move to the next layer of where you're going, you're going to have struggles. And in this particular crazy time that we're in, it's going to involve us shedding skins, meaning changing our narrative as we learn and grow new information, because new information is constantly coming in. And so what you believed in one space and era might have been true for you at that particular time, but as you continue to grow and see new things, then they might have to elevate. And you can't be afraid of letting go on your journey. It's a part of the journey.
Well, I have to agree with that. That was one of the things that I was trying to tell a guest that I used to have on the broadcast. I said, hey, man, he for years gave us all the conceivable information that he could possibly give us on Africa and the history of Africa and this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, we are currently doing research now on our ancient story in the Americas. And so as I began to put out certain things that do not coincide with what it was that he had believed, because he had spent most of his time dealing with Africa. And I said, well, we still got new information coming out. I mean, they are steady doing discoveries on stuff that's been covered up over here in the Americas. So you can't just just stick to one thing. You have to just examine everything. And what I'm doing here now is exposing a lot of the stuff that we just simply not being privy to on the primetime news. And so this is the kind of information that I like to expose our people.
The sound kind of went out, Tarhaka. I couldn't hear you.
I say this is
Hello?
the kind of information that can you hear me?
Okay, now it's better. Okay. Yes.
This is the kind of information that I'm trying to get out to our people. Stuff that's not being broadcast on us, to us, in the regular media and stuff, and putting out and reminding our people of some of the stuff that has been put out that they have forgotten about. just like Dr. Francis Cress Wilson's work, and on a previous broadcast I did with Michael Bradley's work, The Iceman Inheritance. Are you familiar with Malidoma Patrice Tomei, A Water in the Spirit? Have you ever checked that out?
That sounds familiar. I don't know. I might even have that book, but I can't recall it right now. But it definitely sounds familiar. So you mentioned something I wanted to elaborate on a little bit, because I talked to you about being in church and coming out to spirituality. And a lot of people who are, quote unquote, in this conscious community have a, you know, they're okay with talking about church folks and how we don't know our history, et cetera, because they've gotten all of this information about Africa, and they've been teaching it from a patriarchal lens for a really long time, right? They've learned it a certain way. Now, this emergence of information that's coming out about this great mother is rocking their boat. And a lot of older people who have been teaching about Africa for a real long time is having a problem with new information. And I'm trying to figure out how you have all this scholarship that learned all of this information about the Great Pyramids and this and that and the other, but you miss the great mother in the process. You miss the matriarchal aspect of all of this information, and she got covered up along the way. And some of her stuff is right in your face. We just don't know. It's in our face. The biggest temple to Isis is right there in Arizona. A lot of the artifacts that they're covering up in Arizona is before the Great Pyramids and all of this stuff. The name Europe itself is a Sibyl, an ancient Sibyl, a black African woman named Europa. But we don't know our history in that matrilineal way. And as this information is being broadcast now, because the Sibyls are coming back or coming out of their sleep state, they're having a hard time with this other aspect of the history. And I'm watching my older fathers grappling with this new information. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. This is interesting to me.
One thing I found out, a lot of them are fearful that it may go against the grain of some stuff they've been believing a long time, and a lot of things that they may have said. And they are
it is, and some of it is. And just like I had to retract the things that I had been teaching and preaching all my life in the Christian world, and had to let my ego go to embrace new information, so do they.
Well,
so do they.
I don't have a hard time with that, and I've said certain things to individuals, and it's like, wow, man, you don't, I can't, man, I can't, this goes against everything that I've been, what you just told me means that what I've been saying is lying. Well, you know, don't look at it that way. You got to look at it, you know, if it's new information, it can be verified, and if it's a fact and it's true, just going on with what's true. They had
learn something new, exactly.
That's right. They had this, they had found this, the remains of this civilization down in South America.
Mm-hmm.
And was looking for, they found out that these people, they was conducting commerce because it was not too far away from the ocean, and they was trading with people coming across the ocean back and forth trading. But they could not find any kind of indication that there have been any kind of war, any violence, anything of that nature. They just couldn't find it. Everything that they dug up, they kept finding nothing but harmony, peace, tranquility, righteous trade one to another. I mean, these people were really, really going in a very, very large, thriving community. And the archaeologists, they found the remains of a deceased child. They said, okay, what we found? This child must have been killed sometime. We're trying to find out. No, the child wasn't killed, wasn't murdered. The child died from some type of illness. Well, there's got to be some evidence of some kind of war that happened. So they brought in this expert that could detect, this Caucasian gentleman that could detect if there had been some type of war and violence. He couldn't find nothing throughout the entire area that they were excavating. So he went out to the shores of the beach and began to excavate out there, looking for some kind of way there had to be some kind of violence and murder stuff, because he couldn't believe that this, what they were saying about this community, we didn't have no, there wasn't no racism, there wasn't no murder, there wasn't no violence, but he was determined to find something somewhere. He was about to panic because he couldn't find none of the stuff that he considered to be normal. It just wasn't there. And he had no choice but to say some kind of way it didn't happen. There was no violence, there was no invasion, no rape, no pillage. None of this here happened among these people in this civilization. And this was ancient civilization. Because as far as he was concerned, this was supposed to be the natural order of things. Well, no, not necessarily, because these, first of all, the people, the village that you investigated were people of color. And they didn't have this there. One of the reasons why is because y'all hadn't showed up yet. the Spanish had come in there and started killing people, trying to force them with their religion on them. Y'all hadn't come in there and tried to introduce the people to prostitution, alcohol, liquor, and drugs, and murder, and politics. None of that had ever occurred. But boy, it was fascinating for me to watch, because I was looking at this guy and said, well, there's got to be some kind of evidence. I said, no, why it can't be that these people lived in peace and tranquility? Why is there always you gonna consider somebody to be normal if they participated in some type of degradation or inhumane treatment or some violence and stuff? Why? Why do you have to consider that to be normal? And it is amazing. Then they had this priest down in South America, and the natives, white guy, he was sent there from the Roman Catholic Church, and to try to get the natives, you know how they do, come to the natives and try to get them to learn about Jesus Christ and all this. But the natives, they said, well, look, we're going to bring you some gifts. You seem to be a good, nice gentleman, you know, you peaceful guy, you know, believing in God and all this stuff. They went to go up in the mountains in the different ancient caves, and they would bring beaten gold and statues and artifacts and stuff that existed prior, back in the antediluvian period, prior to ever being a flood. And brought it and was given unto him. He was stacking it up and putting it up in there. And he finally allowed a journalist to come in there with cameras and stuff and videotape this stuff. Then he messed around and told the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church said, well, okay, close up this place and seal it up and don't allow anybody else to come in there with cameras or anything else and take any photographs or videos or nothing like that. And the Roman Catholic Church sent ships over there to collect everything that he had and take it back to the Vatican and put it to cover up this information and these people and this hidden knowledge and stuff, because they didn't want the rest of the world to know this. And then you got other people that's doing the same thing. You got the Smithsonian Institute and other institutions that have ancient artifacts and stuff that they would not allow anyone to see. because it goes the narrative of all the lies that they done told.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It's absolutely amazing, and you know, the books that I've been reading from on my channel is called The Sibyls, The First Prophetess of Mami Wata, The Theft of African Prophecy by the Catholic Church. So you get to see the conspiracy to cover up all that information that is true and ours by the Catholic Church and the Vatican. So I'm not surprised at all that if they found something else, they're trying to cover that up too.
Well, it's all a part of the global system of white supremacy. You know, anybody participating in part of this system is doing it in the space with people of color, doing it to your own detriment. It's not going to benefit you. Nobody wants to hear about the spirits of the facts of the people that of more descent people of color on this continent that have always been here, that didn't come from someplace else. Didn't come here from Africa. We didn't migrate here. We always been here. And so they have a problem with that because they done already designated someone else to be the natives of the land without talking about the absolute indigenous people of the Americas, the absolute indigenous people of the Philippines, the absolute indigenous people of China, Cuba, and the list goes on and on and on. All of these people have been pushed back in the background. They don't get any media coverage. And the only way you're going to know about them is you're going to have to go there, physically go there, and these people are there. But anytime you see something, you're going to see somebody that they have designated to be seen the photograph, but never you and I. The original people, because it goes against the grain of all the lies we told. All of us came here as a result of being in slavery on a slave ship to be their slave on the continent. Never mind the fact that you predate anybody on this planet. And then they'll cover up the narrative.
I think that's what people need to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's what people need to stop fighting about, because really I'm so sick and tired of seeing us divide ourselves even further. You know, if these people have done anything very great, they did on their own behalf, it is divide and conquer with us. I say we are indigenous to every part of this planet, all parts of this planet. We had Pangea, we had continental drift. We don't know how all of these people, places, and things came together and drifted apart before, you know, we see the continent as we know it and look like today. People have been here before the slave ships came. There are people who've been everywhere. When you read about these prophetess, we were the first everywhere. Well, not just Africa. We were everywhere. We were in Greece. We were in Rome. We were in Russia. The what do you call it? These Amazonian women. They were the first back there behind the Caucasus Mountains. They were everywhere. We were everywhere. So when people ask me, are you indigenous to this land or indigenous to Africa? I'm indigenous to it all. See, this is a little bit too deep for some people, because I speak for multiple lifetimes. I've been here as an African woman. I've been here as an Italian. I've been a black woman in many different spaces on the planet. And so we need to stop arguing about, you know, this one and that and whatever, and recognize. I did a 2-minute video on my channel called Monolith. One of the worst things I keep hearing over and over again is black people are not a monolith. I'm so sick of hearing that. I don't know what to do with myself. No group of people is a freaking monolith. But yet we can't come together to do anything that's going to elevate us because we're not a monolith.
So
we got to get past a lot of this.
What is a monolith? Explain that to the audience. What is that?
A group of people that's rigid in its way, that's completely and utterly the same. No group of people are utterly, completely the same. Okay? So in the video I was basically saying, you know, the immigrants didn't have to be a monolith to get the DREAM Act. The LGBTQIA plus community didn't have to be a monolith to get gay marriage, but they came together on that. In fact, if they were a monolith, they wouldn't need that many alphabets, you know. You're not a monolith when the politicians want to come to church and ask for your vote, but all of a sudden you got to be a monolith to put a demand on that vote. You know, we got to stop the foolishness and stop dividing ourselves further and recognize that they don't care whether you think yourself to be a monolith or not when the police decides to gun you down because you look a certain way. They don't ask where you came from, if you're indigenous to this place or not. You black, period. Act on your master's family.
We got to learn how to defend ourselves like that, because you can stop that. Growing up, I've never seen a bully that couldn't be stopped. Never did. They took they took me and put me in isolation one time. They had me locked up down there. They had two white cops that came in the cell, and there were 30 of us in there. And I was loud. I said, "You see that?" I said, "It's two of them and it's 30 of us. What y'all think?" They start getting nervous. They say, "Oh no." They get him out of there, put him somewhere else, because this boy here,
Well, you just hit on something, Tarhaka. We're more powerful than we know, and they are afraid half to death that we're going to finally wake up to it. This thing they call junk DNA is not junk at all. When we start activating those superpowers to stop them bullets and turn things around and do stuff supernaturally and do stuff that we didn't think we could do, that's when the whole world begins to shift and change, because we have it in us. Accessing a Akashic record. Some of us go to sleep and we realize we can fly. We realize we can breathe underwater. You know, we wake up to this realm and we forget that we have these powers that we need to activate within us. But once we recognize who we are, we really come to a space where we can truly understand who we actually are as the gods on this planet, the whole game changes. And so the only thing they can do is keep making you be a participant in their folly. And really, we're our own worst enemy right now.
Well, we're going to get better, because I'm going to keep on doing these shows, and I'm going to keep on putting out that 411 and waking them up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And I want them to be able to investigate the information that you put out. And when you do the research, just like you were stating earlier, you learn a little bit more, learn a little bit more, learn a little bit more. And then you want to actually take this stuff and put it into action. And protect yourself, defend yourself, take full responsibility for your children, defend your children. And get away from police and start dealing with what you know for a fact and you can prove. That's what I do, and you feel much better. Eliminating fear, because if you can take a person that's been in the military, and I never could understand why they had this thing about what they call it when you leave the military, what is it, deprogramming, or what you call it? After you've been trained in the military to fire weapons and kill and do all this stuff, and after it's time for you to leave the military, they give you what a deprogramming, or what that's supposed to be?
A debriefing.
Debriefing, yeah. And I don't understand that. Once you train somebody how to kill, I think they should take that on to the house with them and teach it to their people so that they get to defend themselves.
Right.
That's what I think that ought to be done. Because that's what what happened was the brothers that came out of Vietnam with me. And they taught me a lot of things. And I had a cop. He wanted to know my address. I said, well, I don't have an address. You standing right here. You don't see no numbers on my house. Or you want to be a tough guy. I said, no. I said, now you're wrong. I said, don't go around thinking I'm a tough guy. You don't have to do that. If you have skills and training and stuff, that's what you have. It ain't nobody's business until they mess with you. And it's like, whoa, this is a whole different kind of cat right here.
But can I add a little bit of something though? Because you're talking about overt aggression, but can I talk a little bit about covert aggression? Because
go ahead.
We don't see weaponized the things that are being weaponized against us. When I see things, I'm a very analytical person anyway, but, you know, being in the military, you see how everything has been used as a weapon. Women who are not conscious of the fact that things have been weaponized against us, like weaves, eyelashes. If you were constantly wearing, first of all, they have brainwashed us to believe that the standard of beauty is the Eurocentric standard of beauty, right? So now they have pushed and pushed and pushed where our grandmothers and great-grandmothers, whatever, in order for them to function in certain spaces, they had to put that wig on, and they came home. They would come home and they take that wig off. We're living in a space now where women don't take that wig off. They leave it on for months at a time. You are covering up your crown chakra, the space where that head is supposed to breathe to get the downloads that you need to get spiritually, to be tapped in, to do the things you need to do to activate, right? So you don't know what this glue is made of that's on your eyes, that's on your head all day, every day, for weeks and months at a time sometimes. These are weapons against us that we don't want to talk about, because we dare not talk about black women's hair. We dare not. Or, you know, people want to fight you. But you don't understand that that's a weapon against you. Brothers don't recognize when their finances and their, their finances have been weaponized against them, and interracial relations have been weaponized against them. I was talking about, I have 2 videos on my channel called The Mother Blood. And I was talking about how, you know, these people need your melanin, so a lot of people are using you, basically linking up with you to get your melanin right now, or your rights to certain lands, like the Osage Nation. When they came into oil on this land, and all of a sudden the white man wanted to come and marry all these women, they slowly killing them off and taking their rights. You know, and I was talking about how I saw that firsthand, where a boyfriend of mine back in junior high school, they were scouting him for football. He's an amazing football player. And they said he took him off. He said they took him off to college to look at the colleges and whatever thing. And the first thing they did is introduce him to white women. Now, this is a black guy from the hood, the projects. But the first thing they did is introduce him to white women on the campus. Why did they do that? If we give you these millions of dollars, the first thing we're going to do is take it back to our culture by letting you go ahead and marry that person that's of our culture and let it bleed back into the culture that, you know, that you're married into. So we don't see these other ways that things are being weaponized against us on a regular basis. And they did this whole thing with the interracial setup back in Brazil. Remember when Brazil was almost as black as Africa, and they started paying people in America, white people in America, and giving them land and everything to go down to Brazil to purposely intermix with these people so that they could break up our unity. But we don't see that these gains keep being weaponized against us over and over and over again. Same thing happening in Uganda right now. Uganda came into all of this gold. All of a sudden, the Chinese is playing the white man's game. He over there marrying all the Ugandan women. And I thought it was just a goal. And there was a young man that from Uganda. He contacted me. He's like, no, ma'am, they were doing this before the goal, because in Uganda you can't open up a business without being a citizen there. So they was marrying these women, making babies with them, opening up their stuff, and then ditching these women and leaving them, abandoning them with children in Uganda. These are things that if we don't open our eyes to the weaponization, that it don't always come with a gun. Sometimes it look like love. It don't always come with a gun. Sometimes it look like, a friend, a smiling face. We got to see the game all the way across the board, or we're going to get left in the dust completely.
Well, I have to agree with that 100%. I am aware of the other little antics and stuff that they use, and they infiltrate your neighborhood. And because, we don't have any community, we have neighborhood. And they put their stores in there, and they're selling you this, that, and the other stuff, and taking that money and paying it back their communities. We haven't got past that yet. We're going in and buying hair and nails and stuff from their stores, but they don't even wear the hair, nails, and stuff that they selling to us. I mean, it's just too many things that we're going to have to change. And in order to survive, we're talking about survival now.
Survival. And it's uncomfortable for a lot of people to hear this stuff. They just found out that the braiding hair causes cancer, perms causes cancer. All of these weapons that have been bioweapons against us, we have to make major changes, and most people are not willing to even take a look at the fact that we might have to make some changes to do something different to survive this turning point right now.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And but in order for us to survive as a nation, we're just simply going to have to do it. And me personally, I'm bearing down on the work and stuff that I do here and exposing this information, and at the same time dealing with the little agriculture and stuff that we do. So these are my two contributions in doing something about it in an attempt to encourage our people to do something different other than what we are doing, and to pay attention to what's going on, break out of the rut. A lot of people, they got to, I got to get home because my television program. What are you going to do outside of that, man? Come on, do something different. Do something different. You got to do something. Be effective, So, but anyway, I want you to, if you would, send me an email with your links and information and stuff on it, so I can add it on when we convert this thing over here on YouTube. And
okay.
We're down to the last 2 minutes. You want to give us your last information that you want to tell us?
Yeah, once again, everybody, because as you've heard from the conversation with Tarhaka, I'm still in healing mode, trying to push the biotoxins out of my own systems. But once I get there, I will have a whole lot more to give to other people about how they can also do the same. So if you want to continue to hear what I'm talking about the Great Mother, please go to my channel, Alchemical Empress, on YouTube, Alchemical Empress. And also, if you want the 12-step information that I've been talking about to, help you walk through some of the troubles of your life, Courage to Change is that channel. And my website is www.nhalchemy.com, www.nhalchemy.com. It's been a pleasure to be able to be a voice here. Thank you so much, Tarhaka, for giving me a voice to express my thoughts and to share with everybody my journey in this world.
Okay, well, I'm glad to have you on. You got to come back again. And don't forget to send me all the information that you want me to add on over there on YouTube once I put this stuff up. And I also want to add for the listening audience, go ahead on right there on YouTube in the bottom right corner, you see a little, right there on the screen, you see a little red button. Just click on that, subscribe to my channel. But anyway, sister, I'm going to go ahead and close on out. And I thank you for being here.
Thank you. Take care. Peace.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've been your host, Tarhaka Amana L. Bay, and until next time, y'all have a good evening.
Retail therapy can turn to physical therapy after you fall and hurt yourself at a store. If you've suffered a slip and fall injury, call Farah and Farah. Our team of investigators will find out if the property owner is responsible for whatever caused your fall. We know that witnesses can vanish, evidence can go missing, and accident scenes can change. So contact us immediately. The sooner we're on the case, the better. You may be down, but that doesn't mean you're out. Farah and Farah, Gainesville.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah and Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.